Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Bobby Moore Stand. I'm Gary. He's Chris, and it's Thursday, and it's nearly the bank holiday weekend, and it's nearly the last bloody game of what has been a truly awful season, hasn't it, Chris?
I don't know what you're talking about, mate. It's been fantastic.
Love
I've
it,
been
innit?
I've been thoroughly entertained this season. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's joking. It's been horrific. It's been a horrific season. Yeah. What more
We
to
will
say,
decide.
mate?
We'll decide just how awful it is together later. You guys in the chat. Good evening, by the way. And also, well, the viewers, you can leave us a comment. You can tell us how bad you think it is. To do that, to kind of categorize it as the level of bad, we've got to look back a little bit at bad seasons of past, and there've been a few. You know, largely we've been mid-table obscurity or slightly below halfway, haven't we? That's been the story of West Ham over the years. But yeah, look, what I'm going to do is put that question out there. So start thinking, and consider everything. You know, don't just do a gut instinct because you're pissed off at the moment. It's the worst ever. Put some thought into it. You got plenty of time to think because I'm going to go through some news, and that's really what we've got to cover tonight. I've got a we'll have a quick talk about Ipswich because you're going on Sunday, aren't you?
Yeah.
Guaranteed win, Chris. Guaranteed 3 points. So we'll talk about that later because it's a happy.
I'm on a winning streak, mate. I'm on a winning. No, I'm not on a
You
winning.
are.
Well, away days, I'm on a winning streak. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll do that, and then you know, I've got about another 15 transfer rumors. I'll save them for another show. Honestly, I don't want to put you through them. They're all nonsense anyway. You know that at the moment. If you like this channel, if you watch us regularly, please subscribe to the Bobby Moore Stand on YouTube, or follow us on Spotify, or follow us on TikTok, or whatever you do on TikTok. Hit the bell notification icon and give the video a like or a heart or whatever else you want to do with it. Thank you very much. It helps us a lot. Let's go through a couple of news stories. There was a surprise, and this is something that Geo reviewed in some depth. You know, as we know, there is a certain person on Twitter, on X, who repeats the owner's narrative. More on that in a minute. And he's been trying to convince the fan base that we've got no money for several weeks now, with all sorts of different versions, different iterations of numbers to try and convince us. And he's released another iteration. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter what he says because he's doing is he's repeating the word of the owner. And I don't trust the owner. So I don't trust what he's saying. And I don't care what numbers he puts out there. To me, it's all bullshit, and it always will be. There's always something behind it, right? Now, before we go on to news, I'm just going to I hope this won't bore you too much because it's just a few paragraphs, right? But I'm going to read it because this is something that's been bugging me since the last transfer window, when, if you remember, Chris and I stormed off in a huff and left the last couple of days of the transfer window because we were sick of it. And I found I was really busy at work at the time. It was my year end. Every time I had a few minutes to look at X, it was saturated in news stories from the same people as if they were synced. So anyway, there is a particular cluster of West Ham news platforms that appear to operate in unison. Don't appear to, they are effectively monopolizing the West Ham news agenda. The content's aligned to the club's ownership. Despite widespread concerns about them, nobody likes them, but we have to read what they've got to say. Now, this raises significant questions about the true independence of information us fans are being fed. And I include myself in that because I look, right, with what amounts to be a carefully controlled narrative, often even framed as exclusive or premium insights. When the inevitable change comes, and it will, you know, things have happened even this week, and I'm not going to go into it, right? But, you know, things are afoot. When the inevitable change comes, and the well-documented past of certain individuals comes out for all to see, and they're no longer here, it'd be interesting to see if some of those apparent diehard West Ham fans who feed this bullshit to you morning, noon, and night, they've built platforms on it, on the foundation of repeating bullshit from someone who hopefully very soon you'll find out what he's all about. Wonder if they can maintain that illusion. Anyway, have a think about that. I'm saying no more. What we on to? Troll female woke commentators, for Christ's sake. Oh God. Right, okay. So that's one. So that's about the numbers. Answer is, if you look at the numbers, we do have money and there are ways to do it. We know there are ways to do it. Doesn't matter what they put out there. Don't believe it. Just demand that they deliver us a working football team that can be operated by Potter. That's all they've got to do, literally. I don't care about what set of numbers they're going to pour out and try to get us to believe. What do you reckon, Chris?
Hey, I'm just listening to your one-man monologue at the moment. I completely agree with you. I mean, I totally agree with everything you've just said. I'm sick to the teeth of hearing the same old shite being peddled from various different areas, shall I say. So no, I'm in complete agreement with you. And yeah, well, I don't know what to say on it, Gary. I think it's just been a really, really horrible time to be a West Ham fan. It really has been. And you know, you asked the question right at the very beginning, have you enjoyed yourself this season? And I think the actual theme of this particular show is, has this particularly been one of the worst seasons we've experienced? Well, if you look at league positions, no. But if you think about entertainment value, if you think about style of play, if you think about chemistry, if you think about atmosphere in the ground, atmosphere amongst the fans, if you think about the board, all of those things amalgamating to one, then unequivocally, yes, this is for me personally one of the worst seasons I've experienced as a West Ham fan. And we've obviously been relegated before, right? But all of those things for me just amount to a big yes, this has been a disaster, an absolute disaster for us. But it's the future that concerns me more than anything right now, because it doesn't look good. It really does not look good. And regardless of what's going on with Sullivan, and I really, really do hope that he won't be at the club too much longer, I just don't think that's going to be the case anytime soon. I don't, Gal. I don't. And I know.
I'm going to say no more on it, but
I know. I mean, look,
I know what I know. You know,
yeah, I know, and I know all of that stuff. Yeah, but
yeah.
And to be fair, I mean, a lot of this stuff is out there in the public domain if people want to start searching, right? That's the fact.
It's not, though. It's not. What's out there is the source material. Is that, you know, for instance, you know, a very, very long form document, and no one's reporting on it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we need to wait. We need to wait and be patient, because I don't honestly see once the truth does come out, unless it's shut down, of course. Once the truth does come out, how that can how anyone can continue, let alone the FA letting it continue. So anyway, look, enough.
The credibility be out the window, mate. Yeah, the credibility
down that rabbit hole. But in the fullness of time, I will go right down that rabbit hole, but only when I'm allowed to. Right. So look, let's just see if there's any other news stories that are real out there. I mean, Potter is now prepared to sell Thomas Souček to revitalise our midfield, says one of well, that's come from that source. So I shouldn't repeat that. One about quoting the board, not going to repeat that. See, this is the best way. You know, when you're dealing with a narcissist, the best way is to not respond to them at all, let alone repeat what they've got to say. So I'm going to try not to. When I see anything that's you know, board says or senior source says or something like that, I'm just going to turn a deaf ear to that bit of news, so-called news, because it is likely to not be true. It is likely to be utter nonsense.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And because there's a 50-50 risk, probably a 70-30 risk of that, I'm not going to tell you it as though I believe it. Right. I do believe, you know, and Stell's in the chat here, another one, another channel, and there are other channels out there as well, like us, who are very, very honest with fans. Don't take fans for a ride or try to push a certain narrative just for their own ends. We don't do that. And it kind of, you know, for me personally, I know you as well, Chris, but it makes you a little bit resentful when you try to do honest content and it's fucking bombarded like all this. And again, I just read that story, you know, started to read that story out, and Stell's gone, yeah, story's a load of bollocks. It's not an exclusive. Yeah. As it's been mentioned several times before, slow news week. So they just recycle stuff. They recycle stuff over and over again. Right. So we're interested in Motherwell midfielder Lennon Miller. I'll have to add him to my list. I'll look into him. We're reluctant to pay the right money for the Southampton players, the keeper and the right back. apparently.
Well, that's a good thing with the keeper, right? So let's focus on the positives for the moment.
Yeah. I think Felix Agu, he's on my list. I've mentioned him already. Yuri Alberto, again, nobody's bid for him yet. Apparently, according to
Yuri Alberto, Gal, is that news resurfacing again? I mean, Christ almighty!
Well, this is like the Ida Goodjohn story, right? Ida Goodjohn.
It's boring, mate. It's boring. It's so boring. And these players, I can't bring myself to read some of this crap. I can't.
Yeah.
There's various things at the various kind of websites and various outlets that I do not go back to whatsoever. I do watch some YouTube, absolutely, but I cannot watch certain. I don't even say who they are, but I can't read it. I can't listen to it because it just is, as you said just now, it's the polar opposite. If it says one thing, then think the opposite.
Well, there are certain sources, and I'm sort of putting together a method to just extract it, even if this means that I've got no transfer news to give out. I'd rather give out a small amount of transfer news that I think I can stand by than name every single bloody player that we're interested with. It's all right if you're going for a gossip roundup or something like that, then not going to be picky. But when you start doing the more serious ones, where you start evaluating the players and what they do and whether they would fit, then that's quite a lot of work, and you don't want to. It's quite a lot of prep work, and you don't want to just waste your time investigating players that just are never going to come to us, right?
No, absolutely. But I think what you can do is call bullshit on most of this stuff, right? And that's the thing. We can actually call bullshit on pretty much all of this stuff right now.
For sure, absolutely. So look, let's get on with the main purpose of this show, and this is where I need you guys in the chat to help us out. And there's lots of things to consider. Chris has just touched on a couple there. You know, the ground and the atmosphere. I mean, but if you go back to Upton Park days when we were getting relegated, not every time, but sometimes when we got relegated, like in the Averham Grant relegation, the ground was dead. The ground was dead. All right. And there was no resurrecting it. There wasn't suddenly we're going to get behind the players or the special Upton Park thing of getting behind the team. It didn't happen. For those of you who were there, you know that there were times when that ground was bloody dead.
Yeah.
But even when it was dead, it wasn't as quiet as that great big bowl that we're in now. There was always a hum in the background, if you know what I mean. Yeah. That just gets lost in the big space now. There's not even a hum sometimes. It's just dead silence.
Yeah, totally agree. And it's not just that. So when we talk about atmosphere, we talk about the people. Okay. And I know we've said this many, many times before around tourists in the ground. That I've got no issues with regards to people coming to watch West Ham. I find it nice that they would like to go and watch West Ham, but I think there should be sections where you would have those tourists and keep the proper West Ham together.
Yes.
But you look around and you talk about atmosphere. Honestly, like when I think back to my days of going to Upton Park and watching West Ham, it was so different, different. I'm not into my atmosphere. I'm talking about the conversations that you'd have with people in and amongst you, right?
For sure.
It's so different now, and I'm noticing it more and more and more recently, actually. I must admit, over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, it's getting worse and worse and worse. Every single season it is. And it just literally feels like it's dying. The essence of the club is dying.
Yeah. It feels like it is. And there's so many people. When we moved into this ground, we got a load of old-timers who were saying, I can't be having this, and they walked away, right? And they haven't come back. Well, now, I think, the last 3 seasons, we did have a good end to one of them, a brilliant end to one of them, but that season was diabolical in the league, and in the ground, it was terrible. Last season, many times in the ground, it was terrible. There were some great wins at the first half of last season for sure, but at home in that ground, it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. And this season, it's gone another step, because you must have noticed the massive increase in every ground that I've visited, the massive increase in tourists. And in the Bobby Moore Lower this year, I mean, there's been only a handful of games where the people in front of me have been the ticket holders who've probably just sold their tickets, they can't get there or something like that, or they've had enough, I don't know. But all around me, even the ones behind who are there 99 times out of 100, they're gone. They miss a game, tourists replace them. And tourists when you meet them, because it ain't just how they look, it's how they act, right? What they're doing is they literally don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on. They don't know the songs. They don't know the culture. They don't know anything about West Ham. They're not there to see West Ham or support West Ham. They're there to see a game of Premier League football. That's it.
Gary, there's tourists. Tourists is one part, right? the other part as well is that what you also find, I was speaking to a good friend of mine the other day who's a massive, massive West Ham fan, doesn't go to games as much as he'd like to, but he was telling me about his boss, who I believe is, well, I can't remember what club it was, but he doesn't support West Ham. Okay, but he lives in London, just wants to go and see a bit of football. And he's been a season ticket holder since we moved to the big Goldfish Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Does not support West Ham at all. Now, there are so many people that have those season tickets at West Ham. They've just bought them because they were cheap. And actually, they got a deal as well. Some of these people got deals. So he had, like, I don't know how he kind of manages, but he had like a 5-year deal where he got it for a fixed price. God knows how he did it. But he's paying like 200 or 300 quid for his season ticket, a couple of season tickets year on year on year. And it beggars belief how many people could fit in that category at the London Stadium that are not West Ham fans, aren't actually tourists. They're just completely impartial. And that just adds to this lackluster atmosphere that we have at the stadium. And there's thousands, Gal. There are thousands. And it's so sad when you talk about the old boys that, you know, decided not to go, because it's strange, because when we moved to London Stadium, I'll be honest, I used to think to myself, come on, we're still West Ham. You've got to follow us through thick and thin. Yes, we're moving ground. But really, the club is all about the fans, right? I know like our home and our spiritual home is Upton Park, but it's the fans that make the club. So I used to think to myself, well, come on, you got to come along. But the truth is, I've changed my mind over the years, because I actually understand it now. I totally understand why people do not want to renew anymore, because the identity of West Ham United Football Club has completely changed from the West Ham that I grew up with and the West Ham that I had supported as a kid growing up. It has. So I totally understand and I respect fully why people won't go back to that, because sadly, as we all know, the heart and the soul has been ripped out of that club. And what we really do need to do is try and grab some semblance of that back again into the club somehow. I don't know how we do it, but I think the first part is obvious. It's this, just getting rid of Sullivan, getting him out of the club. He has to go, because it all starts with him. Everything goes back to him.
100%. And this is why I refuse. In fact, I turn a deafen when someone like you or anyone says to me he's not going, because he's going. He ain't going to be there. He's not going to be there forever, whether it's sooner or later. Who cares, right? He'll be out of there. There will be a new regime. I happen to think, based on what I know, that it'll be sooner rather than later. But, you know, let's watch this space and see what happens, because we've been let down on that front before. However, it should not stop us demanding what we fucking deserve as football supporters of West Ham United. West Ham United is a great club. It's got a very rich legacy, a rich history. We're known for certain things, you know, we're a working class club. We're very vocal usually. We're passionate. We're knowledgeable, you know, and we're proud of our sort of, albeit limited history. We're proud of what we got, right? We don't crave after the riches of Man United or, you know, Liverpool or anyone like that. Let them have it, because everyone fucking follows over them. We support this team for a reason. Either it was handed down, or if you found West Ham and suddenly, you know, started learning about them and became obsessed, like happens to lots of people overseas, right, all the time. You know, Danny Martinez, who we used to have on the channel with Adam O'Neill once, he is in America. He knows more about West Ham than most of us, right? They become obsessed. And that is really the typical nature of a West Ham fan. They are obsessive. When I was growing up as a kid, I knew every single bit of West Ham history. Not as much as Nigel, but I knew, you know, all the stuff that I was supposed to know. Should be an entry exam into supporting West Ham, right? So this is just, you know, we're a different breed. We're a different breed. When you listen to some fans of other clubs, I'm not going to mention them, but some of the fans of other clubs who have had a lot of success, they've got no knowledge, experience, or you know how it works. They are used to seeing their team turn up and roll over another team week after week. They follow them because they do that, because it's easy, because they're not going to get beaten up at school, right? And so they've taken the easy route through life. But life's not like that. If you get your kid to support West Ham, you're doing the right thing as a parent, because life is like that. It's ups and downs, right? It's ups and downs. It's not all ups, right? It's an important lesson. But no, we're more grounded. And I'd hate to think that, you know, that show I made the other day, which I really enjoyed making, actually, because it was a little bit upbeat and put a few thoughts in people's mind. But the response to that video was really, really good, really positive. And it still says to me that people have still got hope. And I think we shouldn't just have hope. We should have expectation. And the expectation for me is, number one, to have an owner who has got the football clubs, as in the players, as in the team, as in the success of on the sporting side, have their best interests at heart, not just their own personal agenda and their own personal interests and financial interests, right? Number one. Number two, that owner should be communicating with the fans. Unlike the only ones that did that was Eggy and co. And we liked Eggy for the short time he was here, but other than that, the historical legacy of the ownership at this club, they've not wanted anything to do with you. You know, in the past, you've had Terry Brand legally going after some very, very loyal fans. You know, it's been a horribly run club with limited ambition for too long. But you only have to remember the size of the crowd that we had in Prague, not in the stadium, in Prague, all over Prague. Where that night we had 3/4 of the stadium, we had about 30,000 in the fan zone, we had events all over Prague, we had events all over London. We have got so many fucking fans. That should have given somebody a bloody good clue as to the size of the following of this football club. In that big square in Prague, I must have bumped into everyone I've ever known down West Ham, right? It was brilliant. It was fantastic. Brought it back to me, made me feel like it was a good old days again.
Yeah.
Good old days were only 10 years ago, for Christ's sake, you know, talking about Upton Park. That is why this is a struggle. When Upton Park on the pitch was shit, we still had Upton Park. We still had the people around us. Now we got nothing. If you shit on the pitch, we got nothing.
That's so true. Yeah, that is so true. Couldn't agree more with you on that one. And you just feel it every week, and hence the reason why I'm always so, I don't sound negative, but I just never particularly excited about watching West Ham nowadays. When I say watching West Ham, it's not just watching West Ham, it's actually going to West Ham. The only thing that I really enjoy, Gal, is bumping into people that I know. That's it. That is literally it.
Just imagine, even if moving stadium or something else is further down the line, just imagine if that one simple change happened. An owner, an ambitious owner with the football club at heart, with some empathy and some linkage to the fans. Do you imagine if that one simple thing changed?
Game changer. Absolute game changer. Yeah.
It's a different club, isn't it?
Well, you can tolerate Stratford. You can tolerate a lot of the things that we do right now if you've got an owner that actually, as you say, has the best interests of the club and its fans at heart. Yeah. It's a complete game changer for us. But until that time comes, we just have to kind of grin and bear it, really, I think. But
never grin and bear it. Never grin at it. Never laugh at it. Never repeat their words. Fucking pretend they ain't there. They are there, but pretend they're not. Just make demands on these owners. Demands.
Yeah, hey, look, to be fair, right, I'm not grinning and bearing it at all, because, you know, I'm a big advocate of trying to push them out, and I'm quite vocal about that. So maybe that's the wrong words I'm using there. But it just feels as though no matter what we do or say, nothing's ever going to change. You know, collectively as a fan base, nothing seems to change. You know, that win in Prague seems to have papered over. Well, at least the owners think it's papered over loads of the cracks. It hasn't. You know, we can all see West Ham for what it is right now. We can. Yeah. And there's been no real progressive change, in my opinion, in that period of time. You know, we can talk about what was promised to us. The truth be told, Gal, is that I never really expected those promises to be delivered. I didn't expect for us to be into Champions League. I didn't expect any of those things. But the one expectation I always have on West Ham is to make sure that the team go out there and they fight for the badge. You know, there's that connection between the players, the fans, the club. That's the expectation I have. But those expectations are absolutely not being met. They haven't been for quite some time now.
It's all fallen away, though, Chris. We cannot relate to the players. There are a small handful of players we can relate to. Most of them are going. Most of them are leaving, right? The manager, he's got to do so much better. He's got to do so much better, not only in the team and understanding what we fucking expect. And what we expect, at least at home, is to try and win games. Because as I think it might have been Stel in the chat said earlier, you've got to have something on the pitch to excite the people in the stands, right?
Because you do. Just a bit of fight. Just a bit of fight, Gal. You know, just a bit of fight, a bit of spirit. Someone who's going to put in a dirty old challenge, something to get the fans off their seats. You know, that's what you need. But there's none of that anymore. And it's quite ironic, right? Because we always talk about the gap between obviously the fans and the pitch and everything else.
Yeah.
Well, it's ironic, isn't it? Because that gap is kind of it almost symbolizes the kind of disconnect that the fans have with the club and the players. You know, that gap around, that's exactly what it is for me, right? There's a huge gap there. We just do not feel the connection with the players at all, or the club anymore.
There were some amazing nights. There were some amazing nights in Upton Park, which, as we know, was a proper football ground. But in its original configuration, it was even more of a proper football ground. And you know, I had some great nights there, some really great nights. But the 1976 semi-final against Frankfurt, I was too young. I couldn't go. But there is a very high quality video with high quality sound on the internet, and you should go and watch that. And what you should do is you should forward it until the final whistle, and just listen to that North Bank singing. Brings up the hairs on the back of your neck. It is incredible, right? They are so loud. And the crowd inside that ground back then, what was it, 30,000, 35,000, something like that? Half the crowd, pretty much, just over half the crowd that we've got in this place. It's not only, you know, it's the whole of football's being sanitised. VAR we hate as fans. We hate it, don't we? We hate being told to sit down. We've got to have in that ground safe standing without seat numbers, is what I would say. No seat numbers. Bobby Moore stand, right? Whoever gets there, can you stand next to who you come with?
Yeah.
Because then you're comfortable. Then you're more inclined to sing, right? That is what I would do. Encourage people to get there early. Encourage people to sing. What happens at the moment? They get in last minute. Last minute. Let's not fool ourselves. When that fucking thing happened, that terrible thing happened at Hillsborough, and they suddenly said, oh, you've got to have all-seater stadia, right? There was a good reason behind it. However, let's not fool ourselves. The reason that happened at Hillsborough was because they had fences in there. They were treating fans like animals.
Yeah.
No other reason. And so, but now, apparently it's unsafe to stand up in a massive space by yourself where no one's going to fall on you like they used to in the old, you know, they never had enough crash barriers, did they?
Which is a load of bollocks, Gal, because you go to any away game, right? You sit in the away section, whether it's United, you know, you've got the fucking metal bars there, right? So it's absolutely perfectly safe. So it's a complete load of nonsense, mate. And it does make a huge difference.
Our lot will not spend the money on it because they don't see the return. What they're worried of, these clubs, I'm pretty sure of it, is a return to the cheaper tickets, you know, the standing tickets. We didn't used to pay as much to get in for standing up, did we?
No. I mean, I think what you said around people moving in where they want to in the Bobby Moore stand, I see a bit of that at the moment, to be fair. Yeah. But that's only because there are so many fucking empty seats there. That's the truth. I look around sometimes and there are gaps. I mean, to the right of me, sometimes I see 4 or 5 seats spare, pretty much most games. There's a guy that actually sits in between, stands in between me and Fred, a season ticket holder. I've only seen him, I think, like 2 or 3 games this season, mate. Like, it's unreal. So you think of the amount of season ticket holders there that don't even put it on Ticket Exchange, whatever they're doing. There are gaps all over that stadium. There really are, you know. The actual numbers that they say that are attending those games are so fucking skewed. They're inaccurate because it's not strictly true. You only need to look around and look at those gaps there. There are loads and loads. And even for fucking tier 1 category games as well, by the way, you know, there are always gaps in that stadium.
This is not strictly true, Avram, because you remember why Juventus moved out of the Stadio delle Alpi, wasn't it? Which was a great big stadium with a running track around it. Now they're in a nice, intimate, purpose-built 40,000-seater stadium where it's a cracking atmosphere. There was no atmosphere in that old ground. So, listen, it's simple physics, as someone said in the comments earlier. If you've got a great big thing like that, a great big structure like that, you know that if you only have one stand singing, I know I've been in on the side, both sides actually, but you can't hear the Bobby Moore lower. Even when they're singing, they're barely audible because noise doesn't carry. The only way you get an atmosphere growing in that ground is for literally every part of those stands to be singing. And it's got to start off with every part of one stand singing, right? Because what do you usually get in the Bobby Moore? You get a pocket, don't you? You get a pocket. Yeah. You need all of that singing, not just a little area, right? And we don't need gimmicks, and we don't need anything else, and we don't need ultras, and we don't need, you know, special flags or anything like that, right?
Don't need a drum, do we, Gal? We don't need a drum.
We don't need a drum. Do not bring a drum in. Someone will end up wrapped over their head with it. But you know, we're just we're different. We're not the same as all the other clubs. I'm very biased. I happen to think we're better. That's just what it is, right? But every club thinks that about their own fan base, and I think that about ours for sure.
But right, I must say, because I watch a lot of other clubs and their fans, and I've seen various interviews with fans, and they asked the question, who are the best sets of fans? And I saw something the other day actually, and there was a couple of fans outside a ground. I can't remember what ground it was, and I think it was United fans. And they're saying, right, United against so-and-so. Okay. And then on the other side, it was like West Ham against Arsenal, West Ham against Spurs. Yeah. And honestly, I've seen so many people say West Ham fans are the best. They are the best. And so I don't necessarily think that's us being biased. I think actually, even if you look at it objectively, if you're impartial, I think we are. I think we're up there with the likes of the Newcastle, the Leeds United, fans like that, because we are incredibly passionate, working class football club. That's what we're about. But sadly, it's kind of really fading away,
We know what we want, and we can see when someone's not trying and taking the piss. Craig Bellamy, he actually came out in an interview and said, we're the most intelligent fans. Well, of course we are. We're not only the loudest and the most passionate, we're the most intelligent as well, right? Ravel Morrison, who he's been to lots of different places, but I saw a little snippet of him on TikTok yesterday talking about
that interview, mate. Very good that was.
Yeah, talking about the clubs he's played for and everything else. And he said, what's your favourite? He said, West Ham. He said, the club, the fans, I loved everything about it.
Yeah.
See, it's magical. It's magical. When you play for West Ham for some period of time, you never really leave. You would have noticed that as you've been to Prague and noticed all of the ex-players coming back. They never go away once they've been. It bites you. Look at Carlton Cole. He thought he was a Chelsea fan. He thought this was a stepping stone. He said so. Here all these years later.
Yeah, no, he did. No, but you're absolutely right. And it's not just even the British players that, have that connection once they've left the club. You're talking about a lot of foreign players that had absolutely zero connection with English football, let alone West Ham. And they come away and they feel part of that club as well. And we've spoken to loads. I mean, even when I was speaking to Ian Foyer, a few months back, I mean, he loves West Ham, like absolutely loves West Ham. He gets it. He connected with the fans. He realised how unique we were as a football club. And he's played for other clubs, but West Ham was like number one for him, Has
Gary,
been for so many players I've spoken to.
Gary, you can't just shut a conversation down like that by saying, deal with it or give your head a wobble or something like that. I'm never going to accept it. Never. I know what I think is good, and that's my standards, my personal standards, Chrissy's personal standards, a lot of other people's. You cannot terminate a conversation by saying deal with it.
Hold up a second, though, right? So with regards to that comment, okay, yes, football has changed, but there's certain parts of football that do not need to change. Okay, they don't need to change, right? We all know that money's changed football, okay, for the worse, without question. But in terms of atmosphere, in terms of getting the connection back between the player and the club and the fan, and the players, everything that doesn't necessarily need to go away, because I see other clubs that still have that.
Yeah,
they still have that. We don't have that. Look at Leeds United; they're a good example of that. Very, very strong connection between themselves and the actual club itself. We don't have that, so I don't agree with that comment whatsoever. It's a load of bollocks. Sorry, but it is. I'm sorry. Why should we accept it?
What exactly?
There's certain things that we can't. There's certain variables outside of our control as football fans. Of course there are, because we don't fucking run the football club, right? We can't. But we do have a voice. No, exactly. And we do have a voice, and we do have an opinion, and we can certainly want things to change and expect that things can change. And I think some things can. And again, go back to Sullivan, that's a huge part, because if that did change, and I think you would see a very, very different football club, and a more harmonious one at that as well.
We've got to demand that changes. He's not suitable for us. He's not suitable. He's ruined this club. He's 15 years in charge of this club. He's fucking ruined it. And there's and bits are falling off, and people are walking away, losing interest.
I know.
And I know it's what they want. They want another set of fucking tourists to fill up with not even less atmosphere. But that shows you how much idea they've got and how much value they stake in the fabric of West Ham. Because the fans, without the fans, there's no. What is West Ham without the fans?
Mate, West Ham is the supporters. West Ham is the fans, right? We're the one constant that will always remain. David Sullivan won't. He can piss off. Don't want him to remain, right? But we will always be there. And if it's not us, it'll be our kids and our kids' kids, right? That's the way it works. It goes through the family. We'll always be there through thick and thin. But I think this is the reason why we need to have a voice, and we need to voice our opinions, and we need to try and really push change, because this can't continue the way it is, because we are seeing this die year after year after year. I'm finding it tough. I must admit, I'm so glad that this season is ended. I used to hate it when the season would end. I hated it.
Me too.
I used to, oh man, what am I going to do? I miss football.
Season friendlies, Chris.
Yeah, me too.
Paul, we drove down to fucking Aldershot once. It's like it's like having a laugh once. We drove down to Upton Park. It was like a week too early before the season started. Is there a game on? No, mate. Sorry.
Oh man, I used to. Gary, I used to do the same thing because my grandparents lived in East Ham, and even when it was like during the summer, I used to walk from East Ham to Upton Park, going to West Ham, and I used to literally just walk around there just to feel the club, just to feel it. I missed it that much.
Yeah,
but no, honestly, mate, would I do that now? Would I drive up to Stratford and walk around the Stem? No, I wouldn't do that.
But what it is like a love, Chris. It is a love, right? It's a love, and you know, once you fall out of love with something, it's very difficult to get back in love with it. You know, and I'm clinging on. I'm clinging on at the moment.
I mean, it will always be there for me, but you know, my acid test, and I've said this so many times, is I always look at my family and I look at my grandparents, particularly my granddad, who was a massive, massive West Ham fan. How would he feel about West Ham under this current regime, ownership, this type of football, where it's located, all of these things? Would he go to games like he used to week in, week out? No, and so I know the answer to that question. I know it's a rhetorical question. I know what that is, but it just saddens me because that was what I fell in love with, and I'm still here and I still go.
Yeah,
but it's so hard to accept what's happened. It's so hard to accept it. And again, going back to that guy's comment again, we just have to accept it. Well, no, we don't. There's certain parts we don't have to accept. I'm sorry.
Would you accept anything else? Would you accept it? So look at something else in your life. You know, would you accept? I don't know. Let's think of something else that you love and you pay for. I don't know. I can't think of a good example at the moment. But you know, if you went and bought a car, if you went and bought a brand new car and you paid, I don't know, 30, 40 grand for it, you're driving it down the road, it starts clunking, and it's just a piece of shit. It's driving like a 1.1. It's supposed to be a 4 litre. It's supposed to have all the extras. Windows don't work and everything else, right? Take it back to the garage. You're going to demand a change, aren't you? Now, no, it's a simple sort of, not a very good analogy, but I'm just saying there's nowhere else in your life hardly where you would accept a substandard product and carry on paying more and more every fucking year for it.
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting analogy, but you're absolutely right. I mean,
it's a bad analogy.
I didn't want to say bad. I said interesting, but no, I mean, I just think I will always go regardless. It's like a fucking illness. It's like an illness going to West Ham. I just have to keep going back. But that's what an awful way. What an awful thing to say about a club that I've grown up with and love. What an awful thing to say, but it is true. It's absolutely true.
No, it is. But I agree with you. That's why I'm going at the moment. It's more out of habit than passion. In fact, most of the time, I dread going. But I did start to get a little bit excited. It's still there below the surface because when we went to Man U and we had such a good day, I was thoroughly looking forward to Forest.
Yeah.
And then someone pissed on me cornflakes, right?
Yeah, that was... I know it's not just about, this is the thing, right? It's not just about the results, Gal, though. It isn't. It's not just about winning games, is it? Because it was just, again, the atmosphere was crap once again. It started off all right, but actually it did start off okay. I got into the ground as per usual, literally bang on kickoff. But actually, the weird thing about it is I actually enjoy the rush to get into the stadium because there seems to be more of an atmosphere outside than there is inside when you actually get into the ground. That's what it feels like at the moment.
Trudgy's on one tonight, knowing how like we get relegated the same season they introduced VAR into the Championship. The bald will fail eventually. Got lots of previous. Watch this space. Okay. Would you take relegation if it meant they'd leave? Fuck yeah. Yeah, 100%. Would
providing it doesn't see the downfall of our club, you know.
Well, listen, right? The downfall of our club is happening before our very eyes.
True. No, it's true. You know what I'm saying, though, right? I mean, it meant that we're going to suddenly see a huge demise at West Ham, and we'd go down and down and down and down like a Sunderland or something.
I don't think that'd ever happen. It's never happened before.
I don't again. I don't think relegation would really scare me because I'd still support West Ham and I would still go regardless of whether we got relegated. And the funny thing about it is I actually thought I'd probably have more of a connection to West Ham if we did get relegated.
Exactly.
Honestly, I do. That style of football, playing in the Championship, playing against proper clubs. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Look what happened last time we went down. You said this to me actually and reminded me, and that was like, you know, Ferdinand got his chance. Noble got his chance down there, didn't he?
That was a great couple of years, mate. When we went down, it might have been. I mean, I know people will look back and think, "Fuck, we could have won the league with some of those players we had back in the day when we got relegated." You know, the Coles, the Lampard, the Ferdinands, all those during that era. But actually, if you look at it, when we went down, it completely wiped and cleaned out all of the dead wood, and we started bringing in the Rio Cocas, the Harewoods, the Zamoras, the Mullins, all these players that never really even had an opportunity in the Premier League, and they all shone. you know, and that was such an exciting time. And then obviously, you know, the second season, amazing. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, like that's what. But there are so many players in the Championship now, Gal, that I would like us to have a punt on. There are so many rather than these foreign imports because loads, mate. Loads.
And when we get relegated, we're like the Man United of the Championship. Don't forget that. You know, we're like the big club. Everyone wants to play us. Garino says, bizarrely, I miss walking from the bowling to Canning Town on match day. We all miss that, don't we? Not that I did that, but only to find the match has been called off due to a frozen pitch. That's happened to me 3 times. The hope that if they did play, they might actually play well. That is the thing, right? We always had that in the back of our minds. As West Ham supporters, we knew that we could beat anybody on any given day. It didn't matter who they were, what club they were. If we turned up and we gave it a go and we rattled them and the crowd were on form, we could take anyone apart in that ground. And we had so much fun doing it, didn't we?
100%. 100%. And the fans were essentially the 12th man as well. But sadly, you don't get that nowadays. You don't. Not at West Ham, at least, anyway.
Don't worry, John. BYD will be over at the end of this year. You get 2 for 30 grand. Right. So let's have a look. Let's go down to the bottom of the comments. So look, we've covered the owner. He's got to go. The ground. Look, we know that's going to be a long-term thing. If it ever happens, it's going to be a long-term thing. But we need a fucking proper good new owner with a vision to do something about that. In the meantime, there are things that can be done to create a relationship between the fans and the players, the fans and the owner, make the fans feel more unified, stop the division, you know, because it's been constantly divided for the last several years. And I think that social media shit that I mentioned earlier, those platforms, they help with that. They really help with that, because that is all designed to keep the attention away from the owner by going, look over there, squirrel, as they say in America.
Right? Cancerous, mate. Some of these people are fucking cancerous to the club.
Yes,
because also, I mean, it influences so many fans.
They pretend to be, but they can't be.
I know. It influences fans.
Fellow West Ham fans and feed them bullshit on command from some tit like that.
Gary, you can draw a comparison, right? So it's a very different comparison here. But if you look at, say, Arsenal Fan TV, the guy that runs that, he's not even an Arsenal fan. That Robbie guy, he's a fucking Luton Town fan. So what he does, though, most Arsenal fans find that a complete and utter embarrassment. You know, that channel, because it just basically is, that's not really what Arsenal are about. I can't stand Arsenal, but it's very similar to what some of these other so-called West Ham, you know, outlets do as well. They're just spreading bullshit news, and it really, really is fucking quite toxic and cancerous to the club, because it's literally making fans think a different way that they shouldn't be. You know, it really is, just to protect that little twat at the top.
I know. I honestly, money doesn't buy you class. It doesn't make you a good person. It gives
you only need to look at the guy. You only need to look at the geezer. So no, it doesn't buy you class, mate. I mean, fucking hell, look at the state of the twats. I can't stand it.
Exactly.
I get too personal with mate.
Huh? How can you repeat what he says? How can you repeat what he says and then interpret it again, and then other people repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and fill up the news feeds with what he fucking says?
Mm-hmm.
He's loving it. He's got us on a remote control. He's got his little fucking gimps running around after him, doing what they're told. First game I went to, he says, Fred, was West Ham v Wolves in the early 70s on my uncle's shoulders in the North Bank. 0-0 draw. I knew straight away, this is my team for life.
Yeah,
absolutely, Fred. And I think we've all had that experience. Not on someone's shoulders. I was smuggled in
first game.
Go on.
My Fred's first game was Stoke, and that was, I think, a 0-0 board draw. But I think even then he knew that was his team for life. And if he didn't, he was certainly forced into it. But no, it's what you get, you know. It's what happens when you grow up and you go to your first game at West Ham. There's something special about it. There really is. I've been to other clubs. I've been to other grounds as a kid, you know, and I never felt that connection. I mean, I went to Highbury. I probably went to Highbury maybe after about the first 3 games I went to at West Ham. Went to Highbury with a friend of mine and his dad. And I hated it. I absolutely hated it. It just did not feel right. It did not feel right at all. And I wasn't really influenced completely by West Ham at this point because I was so young. But it was a whole different feel.
Let me read Harry Flowers 56's comment here. Sunderland left Roker Park, Middlesbrough, Ayresome Park, Arsenal left Highbury, and now Everton are leading Goodison Park. Only West Ham fans keep beating the Upton Park drums for clicks. Fuck off, Harry. That's all I've got to say to you, mate. Prick. Right, okay. I can imagine, just like Sullivan did with Lopetegui and made sure that he did not fail until he had to go. I would not be surprised by Brady doing the same thing with Potter if he fails and to do the same again. Listen, I don't think she's got a say in it. If he wants him out, he's going, right? I do not. He doesn't want him there. That's why I don't expect him to back him. He's probably clocked that already, I'm guessing. But anyway, look, let's talk about it. So look, the situation is recoverable. That's the message. But let's go back to the original topic. Is this the worst season ever? And the only thing we can compare it to, I think, is the last couple of seasons, because they were pretty bad in the league. And also the seasons when we got relegated. And there was one particularly grim one, wasn't there? All right. So let me just do a quick share of this. And I'll take you back through, to just remind you. That's all. I'm not going to take you through it. That'd be boring. Right. So, and then once we've done that, I just want you to vote. Is it the worst ever? Is it the worst ever? Right. Okay. Let's start from the very beginning. The very beginning, for those of you who remember it, was 1977-78. I vaguely remember this. We went down on the last game of the season, 1 point. We got relegated by. That was.
Yeah, are you trying to share your screen here, mate?
Am I not sharing it?
No.
Stop share. Oh, fucking hell. Let me make this bigger, Chris. Hang on a minute. Present. You know why? I've changed the bloody configuration again. I've got to stop doing this. I've got to stop messing around.
You do. You keep messing around, mate. Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it?
Is that? No? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Add to stage. There we go. Sorry. My fault. Right. Okay. So what we... Oh, no, don't want that. Don't want that. Don't want that. We want that. Right. Okay. So if you look at this, the First Division 1977-78, that was a dramatic finish, right? A massively dramatic finish. We never should have gone down, really. That was a travesty. And as we proved by getting relegated, winning the FA Cup, and then winning the Second Division on record points and getting to the League Cup final the year after, it was actually a great time. It was a great time to be in Division 2 when we got relegated. Might have been the best thing that happened to young Gary, because he got to go football a little bit, So that's not the worst ever. 88, 89, I mean, for those of you who remember, I mean, this was a tragic season. When you look at it, look, we won 3 at home. We actually won 7 away. We won 10 in total. 38 points. I mean, that's 2 points from safety. That's again, it's so close. It's so close. We made such a fight of it. Right. So you can't say that was the worst ever. 91, 92. This is the season where, again, we're on 38 points. There was 42 teams in the league. Right. Yeah. So it's different. But 38 points. We won 6. We won 9 that season. So again, not a good season. A very, very negative goal difference, about minus 20, minus. That's not as bad as it is now, actually. About the same as it is now. But nonetheless, it was. Look at that old league, Chris. Look at that.
It's crazy, isn't it? Look at some of those teams.
Southampton, Oldham, Norwich, Coventry. Even Coventry stayed up. Luton, Notts County went down with us. Yeah. So again, I've got fond memories of that time, even though we were up and down. We were a yo-yo club. We could relate to the players back then. I think it's fair to say, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, without question. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And again, we got some decent players when we were relegated. I'm like, you remember that, even the Macari one where we ended up with Ludo. But you think about the other players that came in under Macari. Who was it now? Jimmy Quinn. You had
Jimmy Quinn, Christ.
Yeah. I mean, there was so many good players. There was so many good players that he brought in. But Ludo, he's been there his whole life, right? And that was Macari's keeper that he brought in. But he brought in about 7 or 8 really good players, and a lot of them stayed. And served us for bloody ages. So 2002, 2003, getting relegated by 2 points on the last day of the season. This is when Sam Allardyce celebrated relegating us at the Reebok. It was the most sickening time.
Yeah, that was bad. That was really hard to take that season.
It was really hard, and I don't think, when you look back at these relegations, they've been really tight, and they, apart from
that one was, yeah, for sure, that one was.
All those 4 were tight, right? We've just about got relegated, right?
Yeah,
just about. And this is the Avram Grant season where we just got fucking dumped out of the Premier League. we were terrible.
Oh yeah.
This for me was just, and again, on Sullivan's watch and gold, they sat back because they thought it couldn't happen to them, because they got themselves a boring manager who was going to do boring things and save us. And they had to bring an even more boring manager back in to get us promoted. But again, you know, I think under Allardyce in the Championship, it was quite fun. It was when we got in the Premier League after the first season that it started to become not fun. He started to become very full of himself. So, and that's when we started to depart. There started to be separation between us and the manager again, and us and the, wasn't necessarily separation with the fans, with the team. We were still quite close to the team back then. But then, you know, we had that year, that last beautiful year in the Premier League at Upton Park, where that is probably peak closeness to the team and the manager, and absolutely loving it, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, I mean that was a special season in many respects, because it was the last season at the Boleyn and we wanted to go out on a high, and I think the fans were always behind the team week in, week out. The atmosphere was generally good pretty much most games that season.
Yeah.
But actually, when you talk about some of those managers during that period of time, specifically under Sullivan, there is literally only one that I've ever really been excited about, and that was Slaven. That was it. Yeah. There's not a single other one since that period of time or before Slav. I mean, fuck me, Avram Grant. I mean, you couldn't get a more boring manager, but he was just so out of his depth. I mean, the fucking geezer was falling asleep in his office, weren't they, when the players were out training? I've heard all the stories. The guy was just, I mean, how can you bring people like that into the club? I never will fully understand why certain decisions have been made on some of those managers we've had under, you know, the Golden Sullivan fucking tenure. It's just a joke. I mean, it's an utter disgrace. Some of these people.
It is, Chris, because they have completely ignored the will of the fans.
Yeah,
who they said they would deliver. You know, what was it? A world-class team in a world-class stadium. Well, we got.
I hate that saying. Every time I hear that, I just hear Karen Brady's voice fucking ringing in my ear. I can't stand it with that stupid video that she put out.
But we got neither of them. We'll review that video one night because it's still out there. Apparently, we'll review that.
I saw it not that long ago. I don't know how it popped up. I told you when we were on a live. I don't know, a couple of months ago that popped up, and I fucking stupidly watched it, and that really wound me up. We're just seeing that silly old cow.
So what we've got, Chris, that year we won we can't say this was the worst season ever because we won a cup. So we move on. Last season, the first half of last season was actually pretty bloody good. The second half of last season was terrible, but we finished 9th and we won a fair few games. We won 14 and we drew 10. Right. So look, that can't go down as the worst ever season by any stretch of the imagination. This season, we're on 40 points. We're on 40 points. But when you look at the bottom three, they have not even competed in this league. We could have survived potentially on 25 points this year. That is how bad this league is.
Oh, yeah, I know. Those three teams, I mean, honestly, they just were not. They're not Premier League teams, obviously. They've been relegated. But in any other season, I think you would have seen West Ham get relegated based on how we've been this season, for sure.
I just think the weakness of this league, apart from the top bit here with Liverpool, maybe Arsenal, right? The universal, you know, everyone can get beat in this league. You know that Chelsea have been weak; they're 5th, right? You know that Newcastle can get beaten, City can get beaten quite often, frequently, right? You know that we nearly beat Villa at their place. This is a weak league. If we can do that, we even beat Arsenal away. That is how weak this league is this year. This is akin to that time when Leicester won the league.
Gary, this season in general, I think has probably been one of the worst seasons. I'm not just talking from a West Ham supporter's point of view, but in general, it's been one of the worst seasons I've ever experienced. Completely. I mean, you know, the title was wrapped up, God knows what, a month and a half ago. The relegation was pretty much sewn up not that long ago as well. Everyone knew where they were going to fall. There's nothing exciting about this season whatsoever. I mean, nothing. There's absolutely nothing. I mean, it couldn't go more fucking wrong, could it really? Well, I mean, you know, when you look at Spurs winning the fucking Europa League, what was it, 16th versus 17th in the league in a fucking European final? I mean, you look at, I mean, fuck me, the Conference League final, that is going to be a harder game. That's going to be a better game than the Europa League final. That's Chelsea against Real Betis, right? It's unbelievable.
Come on, Betis.
This season has just been an absolute crap season in general.
I shall be supporting Pablo next week. Right. Now, look
at
what
we've Pablo 4 now.
Season, right? The first game of the season, Lopetegui, after a really crap pre-season, turned up. We were crap at home, lucky to get 2-1. 3-1 at home to City. We never competed. 3-0 at home to Chelsea. It was over by half-time. 5-1 at home to Liverpool, away to Liverpool. You went to that. Sorry, Chris. We beat Ipswich 4-1. There's a surprise because they're not very good. 4-1 at home to Tottenham. Embarrassing. 3-0 away to Nottingham Forest. Never competed. 5-2 at home to Arsenal, where they've done that trick of taking all their good players off after 60 minutes. 3-1 away at Leicester. One of the very few teams to lose to Leicester. 5-0 at home to Liverpool. 2-1 away. That's in the FA Cup at Villa. That was actually not a bad performance. 3-2 at home to Fulham. That was a decent win. Terrible loss at home to Palace, where it was just the worst game ever. A decent performance away to Villa, but we should have done better. Chelsea, decent performance. Brentford, awful performance. Arsenal, great. One of the great days ever. Leicester at home, boring, but we won. Newcastle away. You see, when people were saying he's just as bad as Lopetegui, he fucking wasn't, or he isn't. Did you see what we had to go through in the first half of this season, people? But nonetheless, it's the mix of the two, and it's up to people to make their own mind up about this stuff. I won't give up on him yet, but I will make demands that he delivers the right type of football for us. And if he can't get that through his head, then I'm going to be wanting him out. Right?
Well, I'm not convinced now. You know,
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. He doesn't seem to understand what we want. That's why I'm not convinced. He doesn't seem to get it. And that's not good enough.
No, he doesn't get it. But it's silly decisions that he makes. Decisions that just do not make sense tactically, you know, with regards to formations. It just doesn't. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I don't think to any football fan it would make sense that he would put on defenders, you know, at certain stages of the games when we're trying to chase it to score a goal. It doesn't make it makes no sense to me. And I must say one thing though, and one thing I've got to say, Gal, right, is that I think at the start of this season we were saying we won the transfer window, we've signed some good players. I think honestly I was probably stupid enough to think that and predict that we'd finish 8th. I think we'd finish top 8, right? Yeah. But I will honestly say that I think that we believe that, and so when I say we, I'm talking the consensus of West Ham fans probably think that we're better than what we actually are in terms of the squad, the quality of the players that we've got in our squad. Don't get me wrong, we do have some very, very good players, but as a squad, as a team, as a first 11, we really don't. I mean, you only need to look at Crystal Palace when they won that cup the other week, right? And I think I called this out the other week, but you look at their team, they've got players in there. At the start of the season, when I've said I'd have swapped any of them with West Ham players, honestly, I probably wouldn't, with the exception of Eze. But now you've got Adam Wharton, you've got Eze, you've got Mateta, you know, you've got Mark Gahey, you've got a fucking spine, a really, really good team there. I'm actually jealous of Crystal Palace, Gal. They have a better squad than what we have. Fact, you know, league positions do not lie. They don't lie. And regardless of, you know, the fact that Lopetegui and also Potter haven't done an amazing job, I still believe that we don't actually have amazing players. I don't. I think our expectations of the squad are probably a little bit too high. Actually, I just don't think they're that as good as we thought they were.
Yeah. I think we called it wrong. We called it wrong, thinking that it was a good window. I mean, it was a good that we signed certain good individuals, but we didn't consider things like leadership, you know, like goal scoring, like you know, it was just such an unbalanced set of signings. Really, it wasn't. It didn't allow us to build a cohesive squad. And so really, Lopetegui was awful. Don't get me wrong. But was he as bad as he looked? I bloody hope not, because he's never been that bad anywhere else. I loved Palace beating City. I must admit, I enjoyed it. Congratulations, Palace. Proper team, run by a proper person who's properly engaged with the fans, respects what they want, and tries to do things like build an atmosphere. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that was important? You know, there are other club owners, you know, who would absolutely love to have the commitment and the sheer scale, volume of our fans, whereas our owners just take us for granted and take the piss.
I know. It's all of the tools and the ingredients are there at West Ham. When you talk about fan base, it's massive. We are a massive football club, and you look at the amount of fans West Ham have. It's unbelievable. We are a huge, huge club. But you know, I don't even want to say we're a sleeping giant.
I think we are.
I just kind of hate that term.
Not Liverpool and Man U terms, but listen, we were always bigger than Chelsea until Abramovich came along. You know, Gary and Chris, in terms of someone, we know how many signs it takes to try and turn this around. What expectations do both of you have from Potter to achieve the bare minimum? I mean, look, we'll come to that in a minute, right? But first things first, based on the evidence that I've placed before you tonight and the discussions that we've had, we know everything that we mentioned about what's wrong with this club has been, a light has been shone on it this year. The light has been shone on the owner being shit, on the squad being the wrong set of players, the bad buys who are not committed to the club, many of them. We don't relate to them. The atmosphere in the ground, so moving ground, again, the fault of the owners, has been utter garbage, right? Now, I do think sometimes we can try a bit harder, but a lot of the time it wears you down game after game, especially if you don't go to away games where there has been a bit of light, right?
Well, away
if you
games
just
make you
go
feel
to
better,
home
don't they?
games, it's going to start to piss you off.
Yeah.
So based on all that, looking at the league and the fact that we probably would have got relegated if it wasn't for Jared Bowen or Thomas Souček, or if there weren't 3 such shit teams in the league, we would have got relegated this year. We were lucky to stay up. I'm taking you through all those other seasons where, to be honest, they were nowhere near as bad as this. So I've got to say, Chris, my decision is this is 100%, 150% our worst season supporting West Ham ever.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, I agree. I said it right at the beginning of the show. As I said, it's not just necessarily about league positions; it's about everything else that's going on around the club, and also it's a build up and a culmination of what's been going on over the last few seasons. I think it's just kind of taken its toll now, and this season it's just kind of imploded for me. So this, for me, like I said before, unequivocally the worst season I've experienced as a fan, week after week after week of watching this turgid bullshit football, lack of atmosphere, negativity, so much that is wrong that I would agree with you and say this is, for me, definitely the worst season as a West Ham fan. It is.
Let us know in the chat. Gary Brock, as always, already said, worst season, if not the strangest. Well, yeah, to be honest, both, innit? Steve Tarley says, completely right. In the relegation seasons, it was better. This at least was entertaining. Yeah, 100%. So I agree 100%, says Andy. What you said, Gary, the worst in 50 years for me. Fucking, that's a statement, isn't it? Worst in 50 years. God, fucking hell.
Because it's not just about the football, Gal. It's everything. That's the thing, right? That's what it comes down to. Not just the football. It's everything about West Ham.
Yeah, I don't care about Tottenham. They won, by the way, if you want to go back at a Tottenham fan, just point out the blindingly obvious that when we played in Europa League, Champions League clubs used to drop into it. They don't anymore. They won like the second class Europa League. Right. So, Gary, have you and Chris signed a petition? I have, yes. I think Chris has as well. PL has bored the life out of their proper fans. Well, that's the thing. And this is what's going to happen. Those proper fans are going to walk away and watch telly at home instead. Watch it on telly. And you know what will happen to the Premier League money then? Because you won't fill the ground with tourists if there's no atmosphere to go and visit. They like to, it's like visiting a tourist attraction like the London Eye or Buckingham Palace, right? They like to see it in its natural habitat, like a Premier League, excitement in the stands. They should be in one pocket up the top of the stand or something. But if those stadiums are dead and full of tourists, where's the tourist attraction? Yeah. My prediction next season is Christmas will be in the bottom 3. Sullivan will sack Potter, but too late. That is also my prediction. But I'm going to hope for better than that.
Yeah. What an awful thing to. I mean, it's so true. I also think that we're banging trouble next season. I do, and I don't know what we're going to be able to do this summer to change that, because so many players going out, trying to bring in potentially a lot of players in, quite possibly a lot of crap dud players as well, because we will.
By the way, I didn't only sign it. I tweeted it out today, right? So stop asking. Of course I fucking signed it.
What was that? What was that?
Sorry, guys. I don't mean to say that, but you're about the 15th person to ask me that.
What was that? I wasn't even
whether I signed the thingy or not, the position.
Oh, yeah. Of
course. I'll
we
sign
want
anything.
We want him out.
Sullivan out. Get it right. Yeah, I'll sign anything. Low turnout, shite football, loss of TV revenue. Absolutely. I think if you lose that hostile atmosphere and that rivalry inside that you get, that is one of the big attractions, apart from the mad shit that goes on the pitch. That is probably one of the biggest attractions that of televising. That's why we make so much money in this country. But naive fools can't see it. Worst season, or worse is yet to come. We ain't going to lose to Ipswich, but maybe next season, Mike, Chris is going to be treated to a 5-0 away win on Sunday.
Mate, I want to take a flag down there. I'm genuinely serious. I was thinking about getting a flag made up just to fucking get those twats out of the club. Yeah. Honestly, I really am. I was really thinking I haven't got a great deal of time to do it, but yeah, I'd love to.
Jamie B, at least 85, 86 was all right. 19 years, a season ticket holder. This is my final one. Crap negative football, terrible stadium and atmosphere. My passion drained away by the age of 40. The thing is,
such a shame.
Don't lose touch with it. Don't lose touch with it, right? Go along to a few games, keep your hand in. This is what I advise anyone who walks away. Go to some away games. Carry on being part of the fan base.
Yeah, away games.
Changes are afoot and away games are better.
Yeah, so true, actually. Yeah, they do. They do cheer me up. They definitely do. But I must say, though, Gal, this season, like I feel like for the last couple of weeks, actually, every time I come on here, I'm so fucking miserable.
You are miserable.
No. But yeah, but it's not even that, though, Gary. I feel like I've got nothing really to say at the moment because I feel like I've been repeating myself every fucking week, and that's the truth. And so the only way I can explain this is like my analogy is it's almost as if I've been beaten so fucking hard I can't even feel the punches anymore. I'm numb to everything West Ham now. When I get on here, it really upsets me, and I can't. Sometimes it's quite cathartic and I feel better afterwards, but at the moment I can't. I'm finding it so difficult. I'm glad the season's ending, but I'm dreading the start of next season. That's a fucking awful thing to say, isn't it? I would be so excited about next season. I used to be so excited. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not. It's such a horrible thing. It's Chris, crazy.
But Chris, by the time next season comes around, we will have reset our emotions, right? Like we reset our emotions in one simple road trip last week to Man U, right? It will happen. And Potter has got a chance. If he gets the right players, he will get a chance to do his thing. But he better do his thing. Because it will drop off a cliff pretty damn quickly if he don't, right? I don't enjoy watching the matches and stop watching Match of the Day. I just hate Match of the Day. Can't stand it, And it did used to be a religion. You're right.
I haven't watched Match of the Day in years. I've not watched it in years.
Used to do it to me in Stepney, right? When I was about, 10. As soon as the theme tune started on Match of the Day, you didn't have a video back then. It was like 1979, something like that.
I don't remember those days, Gary. Sorry.
Well, no, but as soon as the theme tune started, right, it used to go and make a quick cuppa. And then I was trained. Within a couple of weeks, I was trained. I'd done it before the theme tune.
Yeah. I used to, but honestly, mate, that's when football was really good. I used to get so excited. Like you go to a game and then you come home, you couldn't wait till Match of the Day was on to watch what you'd already seen in the ground. It was so different, wasn't it? So different. But yeah, I've not watched Match of the Day in years. I don't see the point of it. We typically always last, and there's been why would I want to watch the shit that I've already been seeing live in the flesh? No thanks.
But you got to say the people that run football and the owners who own football clubs, they really don't understand English football clubs in the slightest. They're taking away, they're pushing away what makes English football special, because this is not going to be like America, where you've got loads of very, very sort of well-off upper middle class who are going to pay through the fucking nose for a ticket to go and watch 90 minutes of football. It's never going to happen over here, I'm afraid. Not regularly, it ain't. You might get it as a one-off, like you go to a cup final, 200 quid for a seat, thank you very much, I'll have one, right? But you ain't going to pay that every week, not over here. There is a certain thing called value for money. It still exists. I think you will be motivated by all that Chris Cat says. Be a fresh start. It will indeed. It will be a fresh start.
Man, I'll tell you, I just saw someone just say just now that they didn't even talk about Bowen's goal on Match of the Day last week, and we were first. I mean, that just kind of pretty much says it all, doesn't it? Really? Well, they do hate us. They never go say anything to.
Yeah, that's us. I think they were halfway through booting Gary Lineker off last week, weren't they? Football should
bring back Des Lynam, mate. Bring back Des Lynam. That was I love that.
Bring the moustache back. The moustache.
Who did I quite like? Des Lynam. Fucking didn't really like Alan Hansen. Des Lynam, Alan Hansen, and what was the other geezer's name? The other Scouser. Mark.
Oh, you had Hansen and Lawrence, and Lawrence was annoying as hell. But
gotcha.
You have to have someone to dislike, don't you? Good cop, bad cop. Trevor Brooking was on there as well, sitting on the fence.
Oh man, yeah. That was really back in the days. Yeah. I like Trevor Brooking on there. He was good. I like Trevor on there. Yeah.
This is the point. Football should be entertaining. It should be an entertainment. It should take our minds off things. After a week of work, when you've got a football match to look forward to at the weekend, it really has got to be an escape. It can't be dross that drags you down even further. And this is where I said on a post that I put in the community, This is what me and Chris have been trying to do on this channel, is not get too fucking down about it, right? Because it's football. You know, let's get it into perspective. We all love it. We all love West Ham, but let's get it into perspective, right? There are more important things in all of your lives, you know, and you know, your personal lives, you know, your wife, your kids, everything else. There's more important things. Don't let this drag you fucking down. So sort of get it to treat it with more of a, not a pinch of salt, because we've had times this season where we've come on here after doing a game, straight after coming home from a game, and we've been fuming, right? Yeah. And we never intended to do that. That's why we started leaving it till the following day, because sometimes you just have to calm down a bit, and that's what we try to do, right? And that's why by the following day, you can see the wood for the trees, and you could be a little bit more upbeat about it, I guess.
But I do, and you're right, and I think that is our stance, absolutely, sort of, you know, with regards to this channel. However, I do get totally why people are so downbeat about this, because, you know, during our working week, you know, a lot of us, we have really tough, stressful jobs. And so this is kind of like our release at weekends to go and watch football, go and watch West Ham, the team that you love. And when it's been so poor and the atmosphere is so poor and there's nothing enjoyable about it, that's a tough one to take. It's a real tough thing to take.
It really is.
So I totally, and that's how I feel. It's exactly how I feel. So I do try to like cling on to any little positives there are, but it's very, very hard when there aren't really many positives right now. We all have hope. But it's the hope that kills you sometimes, Gal. You know,
I'm trying to think now, because it is indeed always. Mark Pendleton says the big match in Sports Night. What about midweek sports special, for Christ's sake? You had Harry Carpenter on Sports Night, didn't you? Who was midweek sports special? But the music to midweek sports special was quality. Mine Sports Night was as well. Some damn fine theme tunes back then. Love them all.
Yeah, they were, weren't they? Yeah, I agree. I used to like all those theme tunes and everything else, but a lot better than the crap you see on Sky and all that crap nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah. Theme tunes.
I think what I need, guys, I just need that break. I need that break, and when I say break, a proper fucking holiday. Just get away from it all, and then I can come back a bit recharged and a bit more optimistic.
You're going away, aren't you? You're having a long holiday, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm on the other side of the world, mate, for nearly 3 weeks, so can't get more further away than that.
That is He was anti-West Ham, Lawrenson.
Oh, he's a bellend. He was a complete bellend.
Lee used to record match day to come home to the Benji's in Mile End with the who was the DJ who used to be in the East London Advertiser? Was it Carlos? I can't remember. Remind me, because I ended up when I had my mobile DJ rig years ago.
Oh, DJ Gaza! You know what? I would have loved to have seen you in action.
I turned up at this thing in the Isle of Dogs. Right, it was rough back then. The Isle of Dogs. It wasn't gentrified like it is now. Like Park Canary Wharf, it was dog rough. And I was doing a party, a 50th birthday party for someone called Sally, right? And I turns up with me old me Astra estate. Have I told this story on you before? Please, I'll say I haven't.
I don't know. I've not. I don't think I've heard this. So yeah,
it turned up with me Astra estate, and I had all it's the 80s, right? So I had light boxes, I had the Santa Light controller, I had the decks, I had the
smoke machine as well.
Fuck yeah, I did. I had boxes and boxes of records. I had an industrial strobe that was just so big, it's superb, right? Rope lights, you know, all the 80s shit. Boxes of 12 inches and LPs and 7 inches and stuff like that. It was so much gear, you know, and it was like hard work back then, because you had to like always plan a couple, just like 2 songs ahead all the time, right? You can't just put a mix on. You can't just like plug in your phone like you can now. So when walked in, set up, massive, great big rig, and then suddenly these 2 enormous blokes come over, and they're really intimidating, these blokes, right? Turkish. And one of them said to me, "You're Gary, yes?" I said, yeah. So you're the DJ? Well, I said, well, yeah, I'll just say something. Said, right, if you're good, we'll pay you an extension. If you're shit, we chuck you out at 9 o'clock. He said, no pressure, but we usually have Carlos who does Benji's, but he's working tonight. So I thought, oh, fucking hell, right? Fucking hell. Anyway, did well, got paid an extension and an invitation to DJ a Turkish Woman's Night. It wasn't Sally as in Sally, a lovely woman.
Sally.
It was Sally.
Yeah, Sally. I know it's Sally.
He was like the Godfather. These were his fucking sons.
Yeah, mate. I'll tell you what. I think we should do a show where you're DJing for a session, man. No. I'm telling you now. If you put it into the chat, I reckon everyone I reckon the overall consensus
you get demonetized immediately, didn't you?
It's for one show, man, a one-off end of season special. Gary on the decks, mate. We all want to see it.
I just don't want a copyright strike. No, that ain't.
I want to see it. Oh,
I'll get me some Ross, who he's taken to being a drummer in a heavy metal band now, as well as a sort of working in data science. But
you can do it on TikTok now. You can do it on TikTok. You can do it on there. You can be a DJ on TikTok. I've seen people doing it.
What I did in the 80s was a bit crap. What Ross did was proper big stuff, right? Proper big.
I want to see you. I want to see you on the decks, mate. I want to see it.
No, ain't happening. I have no skills, Chris. All gone. My hands are knackered.
You downplay yourself. You downplay yourself, mate.
I haven't got any vinyl.
It's like riding a bike, mate. It's like riding a bike. You'd be fine.
I haven't got any vinyl. I left it in my loft in the old house, and it all sort of went a funny shape. So
that's the real letdown, mate. That's a real letdown.
What you've still got, Steve? 8,000 soul and funk. It's like I assume mid to late 80s, which is my favorite era. Got to say.
Gary, people on there, they're demanding that you do it.
Again, Ross can do the DJ, and I've got a cousin, DJ Two-Ton, who MCs, and he used to MC at the Ministry of Sound and stuff. He's quite well known, Joe Two-Ton Clinton, quite well known. DJ set. So Ross can do the DJing as well. Ross can do DJing. Joe can do the MCing. He is a Spurs supporter. Sorry about that.
No. You can't have them
body popping. That's what I have you down to do, Chris. Can you body pop? I'll DJ.
No, I'd give it a go, mate. If you get on it, you get your decks out. Definitely.
Did I play the Birdie song? No, I bloody didn't. Not once. But I once did play a pub down the end of Bethnal Green Road, because that's what I did sometimes. Advertise myself in the East London Advertiser, and you get a call up from some pub to be entertainment for the night. And they had a Scousers party. Don't know why, in Bethnal Green Road. Little tiny pub. I didn't have You'll Never Walk Alone, did I? Didn't have it.
Oh, fuck that. What kind of music did you play then? I mean, we've had this conversation before, but I've never really
It was eclectic, but I basically, like Steve said just now, I really liked mid to late 80s soul and funk and everything else, but not many people who went to those parties did. So I'd end up paying what they wanted me to play, whatever it was, right? Benji's, yeah, that was a good one. I wasn't a regular in Benji's, but I went in there a few times towards the end when I was down there. The tracks I got are from 75 to 92. Yeah. Well, it's all great eras, right? The 80s was actually the best era for music. When you look at it, I watched this documentary one night, because like people put 80s music on, it's all the ones that you're used to hearing, and they're fucking done. But if you actually look at the 80s, and every single year, the main genre of music changed. It started out, what was it? It started out with punk and ended up with acid house all those years later. Right.
I think we took it for granted back then. Honestly, I do. And I was only a kid bearing in mind, but I still listen to 80s music now. And I'm not talking about all the fucking typical, I'm not talking about like commercial pop crap, right? I'm talking about some of the real good stuff. There was some great music in the 80s. It was a great era, wasn't it? Great era.
Level 42, White Soul.
Level 42.
Hoops upside your head, Chris. Come on, let's get down on the floor. Let's do it.
Bronski Beat Gal. Did you have that one? Were you busting that
out
as well?
Into Bros and Erasure. I was not into Bros and Erasure. I did see Erasure at Wembley as a backup band for something. Who were they? A support group for? I can't remember. They were quite good live. First 12-inch was Shalimar. Take it to the bank. Sunday Night. What I liked was not Sunday Night Soul on Radio 1. I liked the Quiet Storm on Radio London, and also, when he moved on from Radio 1, Tony Blackburn used to be one of the mates with Steve Walsh. Used to do soul. No. He was good on Radio London. He used to do 9 to 12 in the mornings, and then you had Steve Walsh and Robbie Vincent and everybody else. And I love that channel.
The only reason I'm laughing at that, Gal, is because I saw Tony Blackburn once. I was out on a night clubbing in Enfield. Yeah. I went to what was it called? Eros nightclub. Do you remember Eros nightclub, like in Enfield?
Yeah.
I went to Eros nightclub, and they used to have special guests that would turn up.
Yeah.
See that was good. There's the special guests turn up, and anyway, on this one particular night, Tony Blackburn turns up in some fucking crazy 70s outfit, pissed as a fart, and he's got the whole stage to himself, and he's diving around the stage, pissed everywhere. Like, honestly, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I was like, what is that geezer doing, mate?
What he was doing, he played a caricature of himself on that radio station, and it was quite funny. He went out to the Empire Ballrooms, Leicester Square, where you had what were they doing? It was Mel and Kim, wasn't it? Who were actually strange. They were very nice live, but what they were doing was basically miming talking of Stockachen and Waterman, they did make Stockachen and Waterman made the worst music. You're right, but they were catchy little tunes that caught on and people bought them.
Was that not like was that like the Rick Astley and Kylie Minogue and all that?
Yeah,
that was like
yeah.
Waterman, wasn't it? Yeah.
My wife Lisa, she loved Rick Astley. Yeah. So,
well, you got his hairstyle, mate. You adopted it, didn't you? As a result.
Yeah, shut up, you. I got a 10K sound system in a shed. Bloody hell! Bet your neighbours love you, Foxes are screaming. We'll ask him. DJ pulls out a gramophone with large. You prick. Winifred School Choir. Oh god, there's some bad songs back then, but there were some good songs. 70s music good as well, 70s music. 80s Birth of Techno House. Yeah, try and listen to it now.
I don't know. I do like some of the 90s music as well. Some of the
so do I.
I don't know, like Britpop. I like the Stone Roses, and one of my favorite bands that I still listen to now is the Cure.
Oasis, Blur, and all the others. They were really good. Really good.
I weren't massive on Blur. I didn't really like them.
It was around that era. It was just like I remember '96 being just a great summer, right? A really great summer.
Yeah, some proper good tunes, some banging tunes out then as well. Because Oasis were at that time around that time.
Our fan loving, right? At that thing in Empire Ballroom, Leicester Square, it was a Radio London Soul Night Out. Went along there with my ex, watching on the stage. So what it is, you have people coming on miming. Can't remember who else was there other than Mel and Kim. Oh, Princess was there as well. Say I'm your number one because I want to be close to you. Yeah, that one. Well, then Steve Walsh, he starts singing Our Fan Loving live at the end. I tell you what, that was fun actually. That was good.
I don't know who you're talking about now, Gowan.
Big ginger bloke, died of heart attack.
I don't know. What year was this?
That was 1986-ish.
Really? Yeah, I was like fucking 5 years old, mate. So yeah.
No, you want to remember it? You weren't there.
No. But no, Stone Roses, mate. All about Stone Roses, The Cure. I like proper bands, mate. Not like that shit you're talking about.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck you. Right. Greg Edwards from Capital Radio. Do you remember Neil Fox, Dr. Fox, and Pat Sharp with a mullet? You remember the mullet?
I do remember them. Yeah.
Mullet, that was.
Yeah, I do. I've spoken to Pat Sharp before as well. I actually called in one time to request a tune back in the day, and I got on there. I remember.
See, I've heard this rumor that Tony Blackburn's a wrong one, but I don't think anything's been proven on that. So
I think he is a wrong one. He really comes across as a wrong one, mate.
You can't throw slurs around like that live on YouTube, but
I think he could be. He could be wrong one. You called it out, mate. You read the comment, mate. You said it could be.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyone could be. Anyone.
DJ Froggy. Oh God, no, that's the sort of thing where music went and died for me. That sort of stuff. Depeche Mode were fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Rick Astley was actually quite a decent singer. He's still singing now,
He's still singing the same old shit though, Gal.
I went to Butlins, Releaser, right? We went to Butlins for what was it? It wasn't a soul weekender, or was it? Yeah, it might have been a soul or an 80s weekender. It was an 80s weekender. It was a good fun. They're cheap and cheerful. They're a good laugh, right? Went along, just me and her. And I'll tell you an ad on there. They had not 5-star, 1-star. Denise, the old lead singer. She was singing. Yeah. God, it was so crap. You had to sit to believe that. The Soul to Soul were there. That was with Jazzy, what's his name? Jazzy B. That was bloody awful as well.
5-star, was that like that? They were like the ones that done Systematic,
really
Rain or Shine and all that shit.
Yeah, they were really popular. Love Takeover and all that, right? Classic ballad, Living for the Love of You. Yeah. I love the Isley Brothers and Jasper Isley. When it was that before or after Caravan of Love? Before, what's his name ruined it as an a cappella.
Man, you lost me again, Gal. Sorry, you've gone back too far.
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
Do you know what? I'm interested to understand. There's a load of people banging out tunes here, and some of these tunes they played down at the London Stadium. But what is everyone's favourite football song? Like, when I say football song, I'm not talking football chants, but typically a tune that you associate with football, because a lot of people associate, like, say, the Stone Roses as an example with some of their tunes with football, right? But I'm really interested to see what people because the funny thing is, when I was a kid growing up, I would associate a lot of music with football because it was around that era. So when I think of certain tunes, I remember certain seasons. I associate it with that time. So I'm interested. Have you got anything like that, Gail? Like any tunes you think, do you know?
Well, I mean, music evokes a time and a place, right? It's I heard this song the other day that I hadn't heard in years, and it still sounded really good. Musical Youth, Pass the Dutchie. If you doubt me, go and listen to it. I'll tell you what, it still sounds good now. Still sounds good. But it takes you back to where you were. I remember, who was it? Eddie Grant, Electric Avenue. I remember watching that on Top of the Pops in the front room in Sylvester House in Stepney. Right, so whenever I hear that song, it takes me back to there.
There's one tune, and it's a fucking awful tune, but there's one tune that always reminds me of Upton Park in that stadium. I just feel like I'm there. It transports me back, and it's a really weird one. It's Mike and the Mechanics looking back over my shoulder. Over my shoulder. No, because I heard them play that Upton Park once, and it was the game that I loved. I always look back on this game. It just brings back a lot of memories for me because it's one last one I went to my granddad, but it takes me back to that when we beat Liverpool 3-0 at Upton Park. And it was a game that kind of kept us to stay up. I think Don Hutchinson scored 2 goals and Matty Holmes scored. And I remember they played that at the very end. And whenever I hear that tune, it transports me right back to that game and that moment. It's really weird, really weird, but nice though. It's a nice feeling, you know.
Cool
shit song, but a nice feeling.
Yeah. When went to school in Corned Beef City with 5-star. I don't know what that means, David. Where's Corned Beef City? But tell me, Isley's After Isley was after the Isley Brothers, and Caravan of Love, because I was quite into me soul then. So when who was it? Jimmy Somerville, wasn't it? Was it him? It was House Martins sung Caravan of Love. I hated that song. I hated it because I was loyal to this version, you know.
I don't know what song this is. I'm gonna have to. What's it called?
Isley Jasper Isley, Caravan of Love. You'll know the song, right? But that version, their version, is just so much better. So much better. We've got the World in Motion. Yeah, that was actually a good football song, I think. World in Motion.
90
like
World Cup, wasn't it? 90
yeah,
World Cup.
Yeah, that was good. 5-star from Rush Green. Yeah, didn't they break up after one of the? I think the lead singer dropped his trousers, fell down on stage or something. I might be getting that wrong.
God knows, mate.
Can you remember the first song you heard at a match? Not a fucking chance. Not a chance. No. Can you?
No.
It was a good song, gotta say. Dennis, come back with me apple pie. Yeah. Come back with me apple pie. Yeah. So in the 70s, a funny chant at football was a poster, stand bowls, you're not fit to wipe my ass. Yeah. That's that one there. Oh. That's that one. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. 1982. Yeah, Musical Ute, 1982. And I think, yeah. All right. 2006, Germany. Right, let's call into this song fest.
No, what's that? I'm not having that. You can't leave that comment as the last one, mate. You'll never walk alone. The best. No. I mean, look, it's a good football anthem.
It is an uplifting song if you listen to it properly on your own. It's an uplifting song, so it's Ferry Cross and Mearsey, right? But Barry Krishna, everyone used to sing "You Never Walk Alone." You know that 1976 thing that I mentioned earlier, the semi-final. Go listen to the soundtrack from Upton Park. We sang "You'll Never Walk Alone." So did Leeds. So did everyone. Celtic still sing it.
I must admit, it's a cracking football tune. Like, it's a cracking song to sing, right? When you go to Anfield and you hear them singing that, it does literally, like, the hairs in the back of your neck stand up. It is like that.
Oh,
but for me, I can't go anywhere. But Bubbles, man, you got Bubbles for me. No, it's always. I used to put down North London forever, please. No way. But no, Bubbles, you can't beat it, mate. Can't beat it.
Did you ever go Bagley's King Cross? Yes, I did.
Of course, man. Bagley's King's Cross. Yeah. Don't remember much, I must admit.
I loved it very much. I've got lots of I don't know, it's a funny old place, isn't it? Because you come across some real mean looking people in there. And I just went out into the hall one night and there was this mean looking skinhead there come out of the hard house room, I think it was, or wherever it was. The first room, you know, the loud one, right? I didn't go in there. But covered in sweat, this geezer. You all right, mate? How you doing? Anyway, give me a big hug. Out of his nut on ecstasy, he was. Out of his nut.
I used to like going to Fabric. That was my place. Did you ever go Fabric, Gal? Were you too old for
that's
that?
After my time. It's way too
really?
old.
Yeah, but that's still like going back that's still going back, like, you know, you could have still gone there 30 years ago, mate. So not necessarily. Yeah. You would have still been old enough to go there, Gal. Or sorry, young enough, should I say?
Yeah. Right. Let's look back. I'm gonna call it a day there because we're an hour and a half. It's been a nice little chat, but it's good talking about something else, wasn't it? I quite enjoyed that. I quite enjoyed talking about something else for a while.
About your music days, mate, your DJing days.
I'll tell you what.
Did you have a DJ name, Gary? Did you have a name? Come on, you must have had a name.
It will never be divulged, Chris, but it wasn't a personal name. It was a name for the you know, the service that you were hiring, right? So anyway.
Oh, come on, man. You can't leave it like that. We want to know. We want to know. Just give us a clue.
I've never told anyone.
And I'll guess.
I've never told anyone. You're not getting it. No,
what do you mean? You must have told someone.
By the way,
it was your name.
Before you all go, Chris is going to see the inevitable away win. By the way, listen to the match preview today on it, detailed one. They started off all right, Ipswich, but it was only all right, and they've just got worse and worse and worse and worse as the season's gone on. They don't progress the ball. They sit back. They're a fucking a dart ball to be shot at, right? Just let's do predictions. I'm going to go 3-0 West Ham. What are you doing, Chris?
I don't know. I can't predict games anymore, Gary. I just can't. I'm going to say 2-1 West Ham. I don't think it's going to be.
Oh, they're not getting one.
No, I also think Ipswich are playing for a bit of pride last game in the Premier League and everything else, and try and get the fans on side. Make them up, get them up for next season. Last game of the season typically is always quite an important one for both teams, right? So I don't think it's going to be like 3-0. I can see Ipswich maybe scoring, and I mean, have they actually won a game this year? Do you know?
I think they have. Let me have a look.
I've got a feeling if they have, then it might only be one game. Maybe they've only accumulated 3 points since the turn of the year.
Hold on. Let me have a look. Ipswich, they've won 1 at home and 3 away.
This is what? No. Since January.
No. All season they've won 4 games.
Yeah, I'm talking about since this year, so 2025. Have they won any games since the 1st of Jan, basically?
I don't know. I go have a look while I'm going through these predictions.
I don't think they have, mate. I don't think they have.
5-1.
5-1.
4-0. I think it could be a cricket score. 1-1.
I hope so. I really hope so. I want to end the season on a bit of a bloody high.
Exactly what it was. DJ Foursheds. Well, tell me, what DJ name do you think I should have had? Right, okay. 2-2.
I don't know, mate. Was it something a little bit like dirty or something?
No,
is that what you don't want to say? It went like DJ Big Dog or something like that. What was it?
Quite dull, actually.
What was it? Come on, man. Everyone wants to know, man.
I'll tell you one day. Just a decent manager. Get a decent manager, you'll be fine. Who us? Yeah, Gary on Wheels, mobile DJ. Yeah.
Was your name in the name?
No. Don't be silly. Weren't the trend back then?
Was it something like
3-0?
Was it something that would be really kind of obvious as well? Something a bit cheesy?
No, you'll never guess it. 6-0.
I'm just looking here like DJ, all right, DJ MC Beats, DJ Silly Squeak, DJ Earworm, DJ Fanny, DJ Swagger, DJ Flop.
There's none of that. It was DJ like nothing. DJ wasn't in the title. It was a name.
It wasn't even in it.
No. Oh. It was named the overall mobile DJing service that I provided. Right. It was the company.
What does that mean? The DJing service that you?
It was the company name.
I need to do some digging, mate. I need to do some DJ Big Dong, Ding Dong. Steve is saying here, DJ Ding Dong. There you go.
DJ GK. Ding Dong.
DJ Fanny. Oh God.
DJ Tinder. Sasha. DJ Fanny. DJ Helmet. DJ Helmet coming at you.
Have you got any old pictures you can share of your DJing days?
I don't actually. I don't. No, we didn't take a lot of photos back then. Some reason. MC Emma. Can't touch this. DJ Bubbles. Palace of Miles there. That's what's going on. Yeah, whatever.
They are.
Don't take me down a misery route. DJ Vinyl, the Vinyl Professor, DJ Gary Gang. No, there's nothing to do with Gary. You know that Gary, by the way, his name wasn't Gary, it was Paul. Right, Vinyl Plunderer, Wheels of Steel, MC Clueless. Yeah, it would be now. Please, Chris, no helmet picks.
Hey, what's that?
Right, we're going to leave it there, Chris. Enough of this. I can only take so much abuse. I'll be back for more on Monday with Chris. We're gonna try something different on Monday. I think you might like it. Trudge. Get that name off of my fucking.
Yeah, what's that all about? That's a little bit bad.
Security. Get Trudge.
Just saw that. I just saw that.
Yeah.
No. I'll tell you what. Monday will be cool because I think it's we need to end the season on a bit of a high, regardless of what the result's going to be. I think we need to end the season on a high, and I might do a little bit of filming at Ipswich as well. I don't know. I might
do a vlog. Do a vlog because it's going to be a glorious sunny away day, Chris. Do a vlog. Do a road trip video. Go on.
I'm not on the road, mate. I'm going to get a train up there because I want to have a few drinks.
Do a train trip video, Chris. Do a train trip. Yeah.
It's actually closer for me to get to Ipswich. Yeah. It's actually closer for me to get to Ipswich than it is, for me to get to London Stadium. So it's almost actually more like a home game for me in a weird way. And I don't live in Ipswich, by the way. I know someone asked me. I don't live in Ipswich, but yeah.
It's because you're right out in the country.
Yeah.
Right. So thank you, everybody, for your lovely comments. Thank you, everybody, for watching us on this wonderful Thursday night. Let's get this last game over with. A lovely 3-0 away win. Chris comes home happy for once, and we can get back here on Monday night, where Chris will be upbeat and happy just like me.
I'll just be happy to see the season finished, mate. So I will be happy regardless.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you, everybody. See you soon. Kia Minuans.